I want to have a direct conversation about burnout and highlight what's actually holding it in place. Because when you get that, you can tap into the solution to be able to have a clear mind, the energy in your body, and the time, the time to do what's important to you. Most people with burnout often push themselves through that heaviness and the fatigue to get done what's on their to-do list. And they will crave and be on that pursuit to do anything they can to bring more energy into their body, again, to be able to tackle that to-do list. So they'll be on that journey of trying expensive, supplements, time-consuming different modalities, potentially different sleep routines, diets, exercise. They will do anything they can to pour more energy into their system. But when you have a look at what's actually going on within that motivation to have more energy, it often comes back to being able to do more things for other people. Now, the truth is with humans, with people, there are two forces that will always, always motivate us. We will either be motivated towards the thing that we want, that pleasure, the thing that lifts us up, or we will be motivated away from pain, that stress, the fear, the confrontation, motivated away from the guilt or the shame. And this is often what happens with people with burnout, is that they've got a history of the past and they will do whatever they can to please people around them to avoid those heavy duty emotions. So when you think about that motivation as a quick metaphor, are you motivated to have your car serviced so that it runs efficiently and reliably and it gets you to where you want to go? Or do you get your car serviced because you want to avoid, potential breakdowns, warranty issues, stress with everything that goes on with cars, basically? And this is what we're talking about when it comes to what's motivating you. So when you think about that to-do list and how much pressure you put yourself under to be able to get things done, please know that a lot of that is being motivated by stress. And that's going to be one of the fastest ways to literally burn down your battery. So when we think about, okay, what's going on here? Why are we so motivated to be able to avoid that stress, that confrontation, saying yes to people when you actually mean no, to avoid that heavy guilt? A lot of the time, this comes back to, again, that childhood programming where you often sought that validation, that praise, that approval, that you were doing a good job based on how much you were able to provide for others. And in fact, you were probably trained as a child at an unconscious level to scan and detect for anybody that had a need or was stressed so you could step in and help them before things absolutely escalated. And this is no different. We carry these patterns right into adulthood. I think about when I was a mum with a newborn baby and I was like, yep, I'm on board. I took action very, very quickly anytime that my newborn baby would make a hint of a noise. Now, a lot of that wasn't actually to do with soothing the baby, but it was to avoid the toxic person in the background who would flare up if there was an interruption to their routine or whatever else was going on. And my nervous system got trained to just be on high alert to be able to tend to everybody's needs all at once to avoid that escalation. When we have a look at that, it sounds like it was a good thing to do, to be on alert, to tend, to help, to serve. But the undercurrent of that is the fear of the chaos, the fear of the noise, the fear of the unpredictability, and so much so wanting to do anything I could to be able to have that harmony in the home. That harmony wasn't there to, have a good, calm nervous system. That harmony was like that quiet before the storm and always, always, always being on alert for the worst case scenario. And that's the thing, when people are doing burnout, their nervous systems are wired to be on alert for the worst case scenario. When you think about those times when you actually do take a break and do give yourself time to restore and recharge your batteries, I can bet you that your mind is going into overdrive with guilt, and it's just that wide but tired feeling of like, uh-oh, things are going quiet. When my nervous system knows when there's that fake harmony, that's usually when the chaos happens in the background, and that's when I need to be on alert to tend to people's emotions. And so when we know this about burnout, that your nervous system is on hyperdrive, looking out for the worst case scenarios with anxiety or worrying about the shame of not measuring up to somebody else's expectations, the guilt, the guilt that somebody else may struggle or suffer. I mean, the list goes on, right? There's this undercurrent of what's motivating you to have that to-do list. When we have a look at people who naturally just do things that light them up to have that fulfillment, that healthy well-being, a lot of the time, most of the time, they are actually motivated to see what's in front of them, what they want to create, and that is so important to them that they will radiate out that confidence, that clarity, that energy, that they can actually do a lot of interesting, fun, engaging things compared to that person who may be more introverted, burnt out, all the things, who is, again, so hyper alert to the potential problems. Hopefully this is making sense, and hopefully it's starting to resonate that, yeah, okay, when I've got this to-do list, am I doing it to meet my needs, or am I doing it actually out of fear? Am I actually, doing all of the housework and not delegating and not asking for help because I just want to make sure everybody else in the house is cool, calm, and collected? And we could take this one step further and say, what would happen if you actually started to hand over the responsibility and delegate to other people? You may feel your nervous system start to charge and fight that, going, oh gosh, no, no, I don't want to, ask for what I need or to be considered. And then again, that's exactly what's keeping you stuck in this loop, because the people around you may not be the people that you grew up with, but you've never really put yourself out there to ask for what you want. There's always that sort of lingering, oh gosh, what's the consequences if I ask for what I want? What's the repercussions? How is this going to bite me? And it's that needs tending to at a really deep unconscious level to be able to undo why you are on alert for everybody else instead of being able to have that internal validation, to be able to know what's important to you, to be able to just respectfully ask for what's important to you and know that that will be received by the people who really love and adore you. As I said at the beginning, I want to have a really direct conversation about what is holding burnout in place so that you can tap into the solution. And let me tell you, the solution is not to pour more energy into your system so that you can do more things for everybody else. The solution is to have a look at that underlying limiting emotions and the limiting beliefs that cause you to give, but it never feels like it's enough. To have a look at the limiting beliefs about the pressure to meet everybody else's expectations instead of putting yourself first. To have a look at the anxiety, the stress, the struggle, the obligations that you're putting yourself under, and to have a look at the fear of the judgment, the worst case scenario type thinking, the being on alert for everybody else's needs. You want to have a look at what is holding that motivation in place so that instead of being pulled in two different directions about meeting everybody else's expectations and having enough energy at the end of the day for you, it's like actually without this heaviness and the anxiety and the fear of judgment, without that in place, there you can start to light up and feel comfortable in your own skin, to have the confidence to ask for what you want. And then, of course, having those beautiful connections and relationships where you see eye to eye with people. Healthy, secure people love to give, serve, and help, and to be able to reflect that back to you at a healthy level. Not at that burnt out, insecure, take till resentment level. Hopefully this makes sense. There is definitely a path moving forward with burnout. I've created a burnout quiz that will help you identify your specific triggers and the path moving forward. It'll be down below. And so, yeah, I'm Claire Chancellor, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.